Hey guys, it's John with the Appalachian Channel, and I'm here today at Smoky Mountain Knife Works with TC. He is their spokesperson, their media guy. If you've ever seen any of their commercials that they do, he's usually in it. And today I'm here to find out the story about how all of this started, because I understand it started in the trunk of a car, didn't it?
That's right, it did. So our founder, Kevin Pipes, the way it actually all started, now the company officially was founded in 1978. It actually started before that, long before that. When Kevin had a passion for knives, had a passion for pocket knives, and started selling them out of the trunk of his car at different markets and different knife shows around the area. Back then, there were knife and gun shows all over the place all the time. And so he would travel around to these different shows. He would trade knives, he would get knives, and he would sell them. And didn't take too long for demand to actually outgrow the trunk of his car, which didn't take very long, like I said. So our original building, the first brick and mortar building, was actually in Pigeon Forge, near what is now the old mill. That was another building that quickly outgrew. So then they moved right down the street from here on Highway 66, Winfield Dunn Parkway, into the basement of an antique shop. And that's actually where the catalog company got started. And that's what most people know us for. Most people will remember the catalogs that came out, and they still do. We're still a catalog company, but I can remember personally, me as a kid in the late 80s, early 90s, getting these catalogs in every month, and I would get so excited when they'd come in the mail, because what I would do is I would save up my money all year long. I would collect cans and sell them. I would cut people's yards. I would do all kinds of landscaping and stuff, any kind of way that I could make money as a kid, and I would look at those catalogs and I would circle what I wanted to look at when I came here to the store. Now, this original store was built in the 1980s. The original part of the store. It's been added on to since then, but now we've grown to what is now 108,000 square foot of showroom space, in addition to our 120,000 square foot of warehouse space in Dandridge, not too far from here. So, like I said, all of this started from the trunk of Kevin Pipes' car and has become what you see here. He developed relationships through those years with companies like Case, Camillus, with companies like Sheffield, as well as Buck, and all of those companies in the beginning really helped him grow this business into what it is now.
So, wow, that's a great story about how he started in the trunk of his car. That's one of the things that fascinated me about the Smoky Mountain Knife Works, how it's a locally owned business, yep, but yet it's as big as anything you'll find selling knives. It's one of the largest retailers of stores, locations, I believe.
We are the largest actual knife show place.
And that was interesting, that story you was telling me about looking in the catalog and getting stuff. Did you ever think back then that you would work here one day?
You know, I didn't. It was one of those things that just kind of happened at the right time, right place. And my wife, she was my fiance at the time, saw the job posting, and she was like, I think this is exactly what you've always been looking. She was like, you're made for this job. And so I came here, and I basically told Tyler, who is Kevin's son, the founder's son, I was like, I feel like I'm the guy you're looking for. And it's really been, I don't want to sound too hokey, but it's been a dream come true. I love it because this was always the place that as a kid, I always wanted to come to. And I always look forward to it all year long. I even have stories of knives that I wanted as a kid, but my parents wouldn't let me buy. And then there's one in particular. It was a fantasy knife that Gil Hibben made, and I wanted it as a kid. My parents wouldn't let me buy it because it looked too dangerous. And then when I started working here, my mom found one on eBay, and she bought it for me. And so now I've got that knife in a case in my office. So it's been a really cool experience.
So how many knives are on display or for sale here in the location at the retail store here? You sell online, I know you
we
have.
Do. Mm-hmm.
How many? I know online there's a huge number.
Right now in our store, we've got somewhere around 110,000 SKUs. That's not all going to be knives. Some of it's going to be tools. Some of it's going to be clothing. But I would venture to say somewhere around 70 to 80,000 is going to be knives.
70 to 80,000 knives.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
We got to go see this.
Let's go look. Let's go take a look.
So, you see, this is one of the things, there's some here, then there's a bigger display of the taxidermy downstairs. That's one of the things I always remember coming. This is kind of like the best place to come to see stuff that's really neat. And you don't even have to pay to get in. It's
Right.
It's like a museum.
It is a museum, and there's all kinds of artifacts, and like you said, taxidermy. Now, a majority of the taxidermy that is actually on display here was received from one person's collection, and some of it was donated, some of it was bought, but it was all from one collection. But also, you're not just going to see the taxidermy. We've got artifacts and tools that are on display. I've never seen a collection like this, and it's stuff that Kevin's collected from different manufacturers and from different actual manufacturing facilities that he's bought over the years. So when certain facilities like Camillus closed down, we bought all of their tooling, and a lot of that tooling is on display to show people how knives were made back.
You have that on display here now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, cool. That's I can't wait to see that. Let's go. We got a lot to see.
Absolutely. So right now we're standing in the original showroom floor, and you got to think, when this was built, there was really nothing like this in the world anywhere. You know, you might go in your hardware store, your local hardware store or co-op, and see a small stand display of some knives here and there, but never the selection that you could find here, especially in a setting like this, and with the expertise that you could find here at Smoky Mountain Knife Works.
So is this all knife displays over through here? So do you have certain brands broke up into certain sections?
So yes, we do have brands are broken up into different segments, and now it's kind of become like a small blade show, which is what we've kind of been looking for over the years. We've tried to adapt our showroom floor, and so now we've got different booths. Like right over here, we've got our brand new Spyderco booth right here that we just renovated. And that's going to be more of what we're kind of gearing towards. We're trying to make it more like a mini trade show, so that people don't necessarily have to go to Blade Show. If they want to see something like it, they can just come to the store, and they can look around and see all of our different knife brands in their own little segments there.
So this is the main original showroom.
Yep, this is the original showroom. That's the original front door right there. Okay. Then as it grew, we expanded that way. Now we'll go downstairs, and I'll show you guys what actually used to be our warehouse, shipping and receiving, and is actually now part of our showroom floor as well.
All right, let's go.
So I'm here with the one and only Tony Watkins. Tony, thank you for joining us, man.
Yes, sir. Anytime, you know.
We're talking about like how this store got started and how it grew into what it is now from the trunk of Kevin's car. But to actually tell that story, we need to go back a little bit further and talk about your dad and how Kevin got into knives to begin with.
Well, you know, John and Kevin were kind of getting going, and as the story goes, Jim Parker actually talked him into bringing some knives in. Then it went on from there. And, of course, Dad had been in the business for quite a while and worked with John and Kevin, telling them where to get things and how to do and this, that, and the other. And then it just got bigger and bigger. And, you know, as I grew up, we would be over here twice a week in different locations that they would buy from us and we would buy from them. And it was just a great relationship all that time. And literally, I remember my dad telling me stories that John and Kevin didn't have enough knives to cover a card table. In the old days. And of course, we were all still doing the knife shows at that point, the NKCA shows and things. And of course, Kevin, if he needed, you know, him or John, if they needed any money, they'd come see Dad or whoever else they could borrow it from so they could buy some stuff. And always would come by and get a drink of Dad's coffee out of his Stanley thermos. And so I've grown up in it, man. I've been around it ever since we were in downtown Sevierville. Yeah, all those years ago.
And then also, the catalog business took off, and then after that started growing, and it was just almost like a snowball. You couldn't contain it, And then there was the cable TV station, Knives Live TV,
Exactly.
which became a huge hit.
Yes, sir.
For several years. And you were a big part of that as well.
I started off doing shows for Chris. Then we ended up taking the show in-house. And, eventually we had a local talent that started out, and Steve, Mike, different things. And finally I'm like, look, man, I can do this. And finally they let me do a couple. And I think kind of the rest was history after that. And we did the show, I'm thinking it was 9 years. And it was on satellite TV. And even this weekend, TC, brother, I've had 3 or 4 people come up and that used to watch the show, and they still recognize me. I know I certainly don't look the same, but I guess I'm close enough. So that we did that. We had some great days early on, man. It didn't matter. We could sell anything we put up there. And we did that. And we bought for the show, specifically special projects. A lot of great things came out of that. I mean, even the Titusville brand that my dad did, the Colonel Coon, the Robeson exclusive, all those things before the Queen Factory went out. We did so many great knives. And of course, exclusives with Case, always and all along. And that was, you know what, it was a lot of hard work, but it was a lot of fun. And to this day, it's just so cool that folks come in and still say hi to me, man. I mean, and I know they do the same for you now, and you've been with us a couple years. But
that's kind of one of the things that we were talking about. You know, it's interesting to see how much this place has affected so many people like me.
Right.
That and even Joe Flowers, we were talking to him.
Okay.
And how he used to get the catalogs, and he used to come in the store when he was a kid, and how that's affected us and really gotten us into something that we truly are passionate about and we truly love. And I think that's what this whole business is, and this company has really done for us. Is it's been something that has been a labor of love and something that means a lot to us personally and emotionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it wasn't until my father passed away that I was talking with Gail in the back. She was with us in the early days before I was even here. And I'm sorry, guys, I got to let this guy. He's important. We're not. He's got knives to sell. I was talking with Gail, and she said, your dad was the first guy I met after I got here, other than John and Kevin. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. And she said that he would work with Kevin and brainstorm about what to do with special projects like Case knives, like this commemorative sets and things like that. I had no idea. Dad never told me that.
Yeah.
But he always did a lot of that stuff, and I never realized that he used to work with those guys on that. And I didn't know it until after he was gone. And now, of course, that's all I've done for a long time.
Right.
Well, not all, but I think you know exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And that really kind of made me smile. And like I said, those guys, when Dad had a van, they didn't have a van. They would ride the shows with my dad. And of course, we've lost John now. It's been crazy, man. I mean, if you think back on it, I mean, all the way from downtown Sevierville. I mean, I remember down there, TC, man, you could walk in, and there was like an attic upstairs. Nothing but boxes as far as you could look. And then I know we discussed the story when he pants me on the street corner. On the
yeah.
But Kevin's a real prankster, especially when he was younger. And, you know, he was here yesterday, had some catfish. We got to talk a few minutes. It was really good. And I don't know what else you want to talk about, but, man, I could go on forever.
That's good stuff. Tony, thank you so much.
Man, no problem.
Absolutely.
No, thank you. It's always a pleasure to get to do something like this.
Absolutely.
You know, you're the face of the company now, kind of there for a while. I enjoyed a little bit of that, and it's a real honor, man. And I know you've done a heck of a job with it, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely. So here we are upstairs in what used to be a museum type section. A lot of our artifacts and stuff that Kevin has collected over the years was on display up here. It has since been closed off, only has stair access, and we actually use it for storage now, but it still has a lot of the old memorabilia, and you can also see a lot of the taxidermy that is still here from the original store.
I remember this. Bringing my kids always loved coming upstairs here, but because of the not being handicap accessible, you can't use this any longer.
Right.
So we're kind of behind the scenes. People don't get to see this. This is kind of...
and there's a lot of stuff here that it's part of the history of the industry. You've got some stuff here like these extremely tiny knives here, and stuff like this. There's a lot of things here that there probably aren't any left anywhere else in the world. And there's a lot of stuff here that there weren't very many made to begin with, but we've kept them in such good quality. We've got stuff from Western Cutlery right here. Some of those hatchets and stuff like that. That's stuff that you can't find anymore. Some of the original Western knives here in the displays. And these were displays that were used to take around for samples to show people what was available and what they could buy to actually put in like the mass general store and into the hardware stores in the old days.
So you just got cases of displays here.
Yeah.
That's yes, just a private museum now that without putting an elevator in it couldn't be
Right.
Used.
Exactly.
I guess that is something that maybe in the future, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, these displays. I remember seeing these when I would come. The military. I guess this is the military one.
Yeah. Got a lot of old bayonets in there.
So if you're watching the video and you're going to come to Smoky Mountain Knife Works, you're not going to get to see what you're seeing right here any longer, just due to the fact that they don't have access for handicapped people. So, but this is one of the things I always thought was neat, all these little window displays. So is this stuff that the owner, Kevin, had just collected for his personal collection over the years?
Yes, it is. And he's always been a huge fan of Native American artifacts, and that's actually why our sister store, the Relic Room, actually got started, because he has an affinity for Native American artifacts and also African tribal artifacts as well. So we've got a lot of that stuff in our store as well.
So yeah, what year did Kevin actually start selling knives? You know, back in the 80s maybe, was it?
No, he actually started selling knives in the early to mid 70s.
Early to mid 70s.
From what I remember. So it's been a long time ago. Now the company was actually formed in 1978. Was the founding of the company itself, but actually in this building was in the 1980s.
They moved here in the 80s. So
the late 80s.
This is the 80s. Okay, yeah. So that's about, yeah. Well, let's go down. That Relic Room sounded awful interesting.
Absolutely. Let's go take a look at that. There. This part of the store is now part of our showroom. This actually used to be our shipping and receiving area before the store grew, and we actually had to get another building for our distribution center. Now behind me, you'll actually see this is some of the tooling I was talking about from some of the old knife companies that we bought out. Some of the cabinets right there. You'll see some of the tooling and some of the water wheels, the grinding stones right there. And we've actually got some of the blanks and some of the jigs over there in a case as well.
So these are tools that actually came out of a company that y'all bought out. Mm-hmm. How about that? I've seen this display before, but I didn't realize that that's what it was.
Mm-hmm. They shut the doors on several different companies that we ended up buying all the tooling out of because Kevin wanted the history. It was tooling that was kind of obsolete and wasn't used really anymore. But we wanted the history here to be able to show people how these companies came about.
This is truly a knife museum. It's just amazing. You can spend hours and hours just looking at the displays. So.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is our sister store, the Smoky Mountain Relic Room. And this is where they deal in really old relics. We've got some bone fragments and bone from prehistoric animals here. These have all been ethically sourced, as well as all of our crystals. Everything here has been ethically sourced, and we've got all kinds of stuff. So this part is really cool, especially for those people that really like history and like dinosaur history, because you can actually own a piece of a dinosaur right here, and it's not that expensive. And these have been tested. These have been verified. Each of them comes with a card verified with the age and what type of dinosaur it came from as well. So some really cool pieces of prehistoric history.
So now, does the owner's son do some of this himself? Mm-hmm. He goes
so the owner's son, Chase, actually does all this. He goes out on digs all over the country and all over the world, really. and sources a lot of this stuff, a lot of our crystals, as well as our butterfly displays as well.
So, is any of this stuff here anything that he might have?
Possibly, I'm not sure 100% on these. I would have to.
So he digs dinosaur bones.
Yeah,
that's cool.
he's an archaeologist, and I tell you what, a lot of the stuff that we have here is stuff that you're not going to be able to find. You're going to find coins here. You're going to find Viking artifacts from the 8th to 11th century Europe right there that have been found. So really cool artifacts showing really every era of human and non-human history.
Yeah, I don't remember this the last time I was here, this room here. I don't remember.
It didn't used to be as big as it is now. It's expanded over the years. And
so the stuff in the cases we're seeing here, this is all for sale.
Yes. And a lot of this right here in this specific case is going to be Civil War artifacts. So medicine bottles, we've got muskets, bullets there. We've got pictures, actual from the Civil War era right there. Bayonets, coat buttons from Union coat uniforms.
Wow, that's a nice display. So it must take quite a bit of time for somebody. We talked to the one guy there that was one of the buyers.
Yeah.
Do they have several buyers that's out constantly looking for stuff like this?
Absolutely. So Chase is out all the time looking for new stuff to add to the collections. But now it's become such a popular destination, such a well-known destination, that we actually have people that actually hunt us out to sell us and donate us stuff for our displays and for our museum and for our stores.
So what are we looking at right here?
So that one right there is going to be an Ice Age fossil horse skull. So that's going to be a horse. Now it's going to be a little bit different than the horses that we know of today, but it is a horse skull that is aged anywhere between 40 to 11,000 years old. And it was discovered in Poland.
So I don't have my glasses on. What's the price on that?
That one's $2,000.
$2,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you can own some prehistoric stuff.
Now we've got one here. This one's really cool. So, and most bones that you're going to see have been reconstructed. This rhinoceros right there is going to be $345. That one's between 30 and 40 million years old. And that's a humerus bone right there that you can have for $345. So a lot of different price ranges and artifacts that you can have.
So what's the most expensive bone that y'all have?
Actually, it's going to be right over here.
Okay.
And this one's pretty cool. This one's my favorite one. Got some old firearms here.
Yeah, my goodness.
Now, these are all non-working firearms, but they're all old firearms, typically from the 1800s and earlier. And our most expensive is going to be this duckbill dinosaur arm right here. 17,500 years old, $17,500. It's going to be between 65 and 145 million years old from the Cretaceous period. And it was discovered in Montana. So, yeah, that's a really cool piece right there. And you can actually see, if you look up close, you can see where it's been reconstructed. If you ever see anything on TV that they're digging up like whole bones, most of that's not real. That's not the way bones are harvested. That's not the way they are found in the earth. Most of them have been shattered, and they take hundreds upon hundreds of hours to reconstruct like this, and they glue back together the way that they came apart. How you doing, bud? This might be a good shot right here. So this here is the world's largest sword and stone. This was actually another brainchild of Kevin Pipes, our founder. He was on his way into work one morning, and when he got here, he told Brian, this was before this section of the store was built, and he was like, I had an idea. I would love to do just this huge Excalibur sword and stone. And so they kind of mocked it up, drew it up, and they built it right here and made a water feature out of it. And so now that is actually world renowned as being the world's largest sword and stone.
How about that? I don't think that was here. That must be fairly new, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing it.
This is a artist rendering. This was before the original store was built here in this location. So they had the plans mocked up, and then they actually did an artist rendering of what the store would look like after it was finished being built. And so you can see here, future home of Smoky Mountain Knife Works, Highway 66 right there. Financing by Citizens National Bank. It's got the contractor right there and the architect. And that's our original showroom space. It has since been added on over here with the tower and the pyre there and the extra section onto the side. But this was the original store that is in the location that we're in now.
Do you ever find people coming in and looking at every display one by one and just taking their time?
We do occasionally, especially people that have never been here before or don't get to come here very often. They'll go through and look at each individual display. Right here, you'll see a display of Kevin right here. Smoky Mountain Knife Works, Old Smoky Antique Mall. John N. Parker and Kevin Pipes, owners. That's the business card right there. Visitor tag, United Cutlery Corporation. And then you got Kevin's, that looks like his passport right there from many, many, many moons ago.
So this is some of the pictures from a little bit of history from back when it started, looks like.
Yep.
We've got a
official grand opening from the Antique Mall. Now this is the one that I was talking about earlier, being in the basement of the Antique Mall. That's where they ran their catalog company out of. They had showroom space on the floor of the Antique Mall. But this was their official grand opening, June 2nd, 1984. That was only about 6 months before I was born. Right at 6 months before I was born, exactly. So I was born December 2nd, 1984. So, yeah. And then just a few short years later, they moved over to this location.
Well, this has been an amazing tour. I've always come here, but I've never had a personal tour by the main guy that does everything for the videos and the media guys. So, you know, we could spend hours and hours. And I know some of you guys are going to say, why didn't you slow down? I wanted to see this knife or that knife. But if you want to see it all, you're going to have to stop by.
Absolutely.
This is one of the most visited places in the Smoky Mountain area.
It absolutely is. So we get, and our percentages are fairly high. We get somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12% of all the visitors to the Smoky Mountains. And the Smoky Mountains is the most visited national park in the country.
So there's millions of people a year come through the store.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing. It started from the trunk of a car, everything.
Yeah.
And we just kind of glimpsed a little bit of it. Maybe sometime I'd love to go over and see the warehouse where you ship stuff out for the catalog. I think
Absolutely. That'd be really cool.
If you guys would like to see the warehouse, leave us a comment, let us know, and we'll try to maybe film that. That'd be interesting because I've always worked for myself and been in business, so it's always interest to me when I see an entrepreneur do good, and you know, especially somebody right here in the Appalachian Smoky Mountain area, become the world's largest knife retailer. So it's an amazing story. Make sure to leave a comment for Kevin and all the staff here and PC, and we're going to maybe come back again. And I've been trying to get up here, and today it worked out that we got here on this beautiful fall day, and we'll be. We've worked with TC on a few other projects too. If you haven't seen him, he come up and saw Ralph. So he's in. They come up and brought Ralph a knife. And then we did a cooking thing, an outdoor cooking.
That was a lot of fun.
That was.
I need to do that again because I need some more food. I need some more of that food.
Yeah, we need to before it gets too cold. If you do it again, I got to come with y'all.
There we go. Absolutely.
So yeah, I got to film TC cooking. They did a great episode. I got to film them while they were filming their episode, so that was interesting. But guys, thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe to us, the Appalachian channel on YouTube, and you can find us on Facebook under Appalachian Homes, People, and Places. And we'll see you all next time.